Orlando, a name that today echoes with theme parks, entertainment, and millions of visitors each year. But beneath the bright lights and the smiling faces lies a city with a past far more mysterious than most imagine. Located in the heart of Central Florida, Orlando is the county seat of Orange County and the fourth most populous city in the state. At the 2020 census, its population stood at just over 307,000. Yet the metropolitan area now swells to nearly 3 million residents, making it one of the largest urban centers in the United States. To most of the world, Orlando is known as a playground. In fact, it is one of the most visited cities in America, attracting millions from across the globe each year. Its international gateway, Orlando International Airport, ranks among the busiest in the nation, carrying travelers to a city defined by two legendary destinations: Walt Disney World, opened in 1971, and Universal Orlando, established in 1990. Together, these theme parks have transformed Orlando into a global icon of tourism. But Orlando's story does not begin with roller coasters and fireworks. Long before Disney arrived, this land held its own secrets, stories of early settlers, forgotten communities, and a cultural identity shaped far from the eyes of tourists. Even today, beyond the entertainment empire, Orlando hides a deeper character. Its downtown, with the Orlando Museum of Art, the Dr. Phillips Center for the Performing Arts, and a thriving nightlife, reveals a different city than the one sold on postcards. Along International Drive, attractions like the towering Orlando Eye hint at the city's relentless reinvention. Orlando is also a center of power and influence. The Orange County Convention Center is the second largest in the United States, drawing countless conferences and hidden negotiations that shape industries. The University of Central Florida, one of the nation's largest, anchors the region with knowledge and innovation. And its sports teams, from the Orlando Magic in the NBA to Orlando City in Major League Soccer, weave the city into the fabric of American culture. Yet, behind the shimmering facade, questions remain. How did Orlando rise from swampland and scattered settlements to become one of the most powerful magnets for tourism and culture in the modern world? What untold chapters lie in Orlando's history? Stories that have been overshadowed by the shadow of Cinderella's castle. Settlement, the origins of Orlando history. The story of Orlando's history begins not with theme parks, but with a struggle for land, survival, and power. In 1823, the Treaty of Moultrie Creek carved out a Seminole reservation that stretched across much of Central Florida, including the land that would one day become Orlando. But only 7 years later, the Indian Removal Act of 1830 demanded that the Seminoles leave their homeland for Oklahoma. What followed was resistance, bloodshed, and the Second Seminole War, as Native people fought desperately to hold onto their lands. By 1842, the tide had turned. The Armed Occupation Act encouraged white settlers to push deeper into Seminole territory. Among the first was Aaron Jernigan, a pioneer from Georgia who arrived in 1843 to settle near Lake Holden. His arrival marked the beginning of a permanent European-American presence in the region. 2 years later, in 1845, Mosquito County was renamed Orange County. Its seat was moved to Melonville, near present-day Sanford. But as settlement spread inward, a new center of authority was needed. By 1857, a small community had been laid out, 4 streets surrounding a courthouse square. This fragile settlement was given a name that still carries an air of mystery today: Orlando. The village struggled during the Civil War, crippled by the Union blockade. But in the years of Reconstruction, its population began to swell. On July 31, 1875, Orlando was officially incorporated as a town with just 85 residents, only 22 of whom could vote. For a brief moment in 1879, the town even revoked its charter, only to reign corporate soon after. By 1885, Orlando was formally recognized as a city. The years between 1875 and 1895 became known as Orlando's Golden Era. It was the heart of Florida's booming citrus industry, drawing wealth, settlers, and ambition. But the prosperity was short-lived. In the winter of 1894 to 95, a catastrophic freeze destroyed groves across the region. Thousands of families abandoned their dreams and left the land behind, while a handful of powerful citrus barons consolidated their holdings further south. Orlando's first age of glory had come to a sudden, frozen end. Yet even in ruin, the city endured. And from these fragile beginnings, Orlando would grow into a place of legends, reinvention, and secrets still waiting to be uncovered. Notable homesteaders and the post-industrial transformation of Orlando history. The early homesteaders of Orlando left quiet but lasting marks on the land. Among them was the Curry family, whose property lay in the east of Orlando, cut through by the Econlockhatchee River. Travelers once forded that river, and its memory lives on today in the name of Curry Ford Road. To the south, near what is now Orlando International Airport, the Ward family settled in the late 19th century on 150 acres of Boggy Creek land. Remarkably, this property remains in the hands of their descendants, visible even now to those flying out of the city, just beyond State Road 417. These families represent the roots of Orlando's settlement era, connecting today's modern sprawl with the wilderness of its past. As the post-industrial revolution reshaped America, Orlando entered a new chapter of history. Between the Spanish-American War and the First World War, it became a sought-after resort town, drawing northerners eager for Florida's warmth. By the 1920s, the city was swept up in the Great Florida land boom. Neighborhoods spread out in every direction, and land values soared to impossible heights. Yet dreams of fortune turned to ruin. The boom collapsed under the weight of devastating hurricanes in the late 1920s, and soon the Great Depression tightened its grip, leaving scars on a once thriving city. World War II brought renewal. Orlando became home to Army personnel stationed at the Orlando Army Air Base and Pinecastle Army Airfield. Many of these soldiers would later return as residents, planting roots in a city that was beginning to transform. In 1956, Martin Marietta, now known as Lockheed Martin, opened a major defense plant, ushering Orlando into the age of aerospace and technology. The city's skies also grew more militarized. In 1947, when the U.S. Air Force was established as its own branch, Orlando AAB and Pinecastle AAF were converted into Air Force bases. Pinecastle would later be renamed McCoy Air Force Base in 1958, honoring Colonel Michael N. W. McCoy, a commander killed in a tragic B-47 crash. By the 1960s, McCoy became a vital hub of the Strategic Air Command, hosting B-52 bombers, KC-135 refueling tankers, and even specialized reconnaissance aircraft like the U-2. In 1968, the military's presence deepened as Orlando AFB was transferred to the U.S. Navy, becoming Naval Training Center Orlando. Here, recruits passed through boot camp, while the base also housed the Navy's elite nuclear power school and the Naval Air Warfare Center Training Systems Division. For decades, the military shaped Orlando's economy, its landscape, and even its families. But by the late 20th century, change swept through once again. McCoy Air Force Base closed in 1976, its runways reborn as Orlando International Airport, the very gateway that today welcomes millions of travelers. Parts of the base remained under Navy control for a time, before eventually being closed and redeveloped into neighborhoods like Baldwin Park. By 1999, the last chapter of Naval Training Center Orlando had ended, though its legacy lived on in the city's growth. Meanwhile, the Naval Air Warfare Center had already shifted to Central Florida Research Park near UCF, planting seeds for Orlando's rise as a center of high-tech innovation. From small family homesteads on riverbanks and creeks to the roar of bombers and the hum of jet engines, Orlando's history in the 20th century was a story of reinvention, each era building on the last, while leaving behind mysteries of what was lost and what was transformed. Tourism in Orlando history, the turning point. The true transformation of Orlando's history began in the skies. In 1962, a new chapter opened with the creation of the Orlando Jetport, carved from part of McCoy Air Force Base. This jetport, humble in its beginnings, would evolve into the modern Orlando International Airport. By 1970, for major airlines, including Delta, National, Eastern, and Southern, connected Orlando to the rest of the nation. When McCoy Air Force Base closed in 1975, its runways became part of the airport that today carries millions of visitors each year. Even now, Orlando International keeps the memory of its military past alive, retaining the code MCO, a quiet reminder of McCoy Air Force Base. But the single most decisive moment in Orlando's history came in 1965, with a secretive announcement that would alter the city forever. Walt Disney revealed plans to build Walt Disney World, an idea that had first been considered for Miami or Tampa. But Disney sought safety from the coastal hurricanes, and Orlando's inland location offered that relative protection. It was this choice that sealed Orlando's destiny. In October 1971, Walt Disney World opened its gates. What followed was nothing short of a revolution. Tourism exploded, the economy boomed, and the city expanded outward in every direction. Within just a few decades, Orlando transformed from a quiet inland settlement into a global capital of entertainment. Today, the metropolitan area includes Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and Lake counties, an urban region sustained by the magnetic pull of tourism. Nowhere else in the world exists a concentration of theme parks and entertainment attractions to rival Orlando. From Disney's sprawling empire to the rise of Universal Orlando, SeaWorld, and countless other attractions, the city has become the ultimate destination, a place where fantasy, spectacle, and commerce collide. Yet, beneath the magic and illusion, one must ask, what does it mean for a city's identity when it is defined not by its own past, but by the dreamscapes built upon it? Orlando's history is not only about settlers, soldiers, and citrus. It is about the reinvention of reality itself and the mysterious balance between what is real and what is imagined. Orlando history in the 21st century. Today, the echoes of Orlando's history still linger in its streets. The historic core of Old Orlando can be found downtown, along Church Street between Orange Avenue and Garland Avenue. Here, century-old buildings stand beside soaring towers, reminders of a city that has continually reinvented itself. Downtown Orlando's skyline has transformed dramatically in recent years, rising over the neighborhoods that once carried the city's earliest stories. Around Lake Eola, in districts like South Eola Heights, Lake Eola Heights, Thornton Park, and Paramore, the past blends with the present. Northward, in College Park, ancient oak trees shade brick-lined streets, standing watch over homes that have endured for more than a century. From the North Quarter to Callahan, these neighborhoods preserve the soul of Orlando's historic identity, even as the city embraces the future. Orlando is more than just a global tourism capital. It is a place where settlers carved out survival, where wars and freezes reshaped destinies, where the military once dominated the skies, and where imagination, led by Walt Disney, turned swampland into a world of dreams. Its history is one of resilience, transformation, and mystery. An inland city that became a symbol known across the globe. But behind the bright lights and carefully crafted illusions, Orlando's past still whispers. It is a reminder that every city, no matter how modern, is built upon stories, some celebrated, others forgotten. This is the hidden journey of Orlando history. If you enjoyed uncovering these fascinating chapters, make sure to subscribe to History Love, your go-to YouTube channel for exploring the untold and mysterious stories of the past.